Okay, so we're at 1 o'clock, so we better start this off. We've got 30 minutes today, and we have Matt with us from Glaut. I'm going to do a very brief intro. A reminder, if you could keep your microphones on mute during his initial intro, he's hoping to get through in about 15 minutes. There'll be plenty of time for questions. But if you've got any questions on the way through, if you could pop them in the chat, that'd be great, or just hold them back at the end and he'll cover them then. So thanks everyone for joining. Um, Welcome back to another ICG Lunch and Learn session. And today we have Matt with us, who's based in Italy, and he's the founder of Glaut that was set up a couple of years ago. And he'll tell you everything about it. So I'm going to drop off now and hand over to you, Matt.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for the intro. Thanks a lot, Lucy, for the invitation. Great to meet everyone. My name is Matt. I am one of the co-founders of Glaut. Glaut is a research tech platform. As Mike said, it's about 2 years that we are in business, and we focus in building an end-to-end software platform. I agree with Mike. If you have some urgent question, put it in the chat. I'll try to pick them up while I'm explaining the rest. I'll try to go fast since there might be some questions. This is a general introduction on the platform, but yeah, I will try to leave as much space as possible to questions. Great to meet everyone. Just to get a sense of your background, is there a way that you can raise your hand if you are on the qualitative side? Okay. All right. Cool. So slight majority are qualitative. I guess the rest is more on the quant side. Good. So I'm asking this because Glaut is developing a technology that is a bit of a hybrid between qual and quant. I'll now explain more. I will then start sharing my screen. So as I said, Glaut is a software platform born for researchers, experienced researchers that want high control and customization about the projects that they are building. On our platform, we can go from designing I will call it AMI outline. AMI stands for AI moderated interview, and we'll go back to that, to actually execute the interview in over 50 languages simultaneously, analyze the interviews, and basically convert all the open-ended and unstructured data that are verbalized during the interviews into quantified themes and sub-themes, and then extract insights into an actionable report in a matter of a few minutes. So end-to-end research platform, one single software. However, the software is actually able also to integrate with existing survey software. Some of our quant friends are actually using Glaut together with survey software as a way to expand the typical and traditional survey into a more qualitative nuances. The dilemma that we're trying to solve is the one between the survey efficiency and scalability and the depth of one-to-one interviews. In order to do that, we created a new research methodology that we called AMI, which stands for AI moderated interview. It tries to be a hybrid between the scalability of a survey and the depth of an interview. However, we are aware that at current moment, it's still far from being as good as a moderator as a human interviewer. So there is no discussion about it that a good IDI is still an IDI and should be done as a human moderated IDI. But we'll try to learn in which use cases having AMI can actually be quite a win-win, both for you as researchers and for the client. To put things more in perspective and more in details, an AMI is a link, is a URL. It's a programmable link as a survey. And therefore, it is scalable to quantitative sample, to hundreds or thousands of responses in parallel. It's cost efficient with cost similar to a traditional survey. And it is native in more than 50 languages and accents. You probably know that, well, UK English is different from USA accent or Nigerian and South African accent, or same happens with Spanish. We do cover most of these accents, which means the platform will be able to interview people in that accent and receive responses and basically interpret those responses in that language or accent. Differently from a survey and more similar to a one-to-one interview, it is based on voice interaction. So both Glaut software and the respondent will be able to speak to each other rather than to type. This opens up a new way of engaging people and allowing them to speak more freely and somehow, hopefully generally, that what they do while they actually think and digest what they're thinking and type the answer. And similarly to a human interview, the software will probe and do some follow-ups to understand more in depth what the person actually meant. These follow-ups are partially spontaneous, but mostly programmed by the researcher. This means the researcher has a strong control, influence about the direction, the intensity, and the depth of those follow-ups. So at the beginning of the interview creation, the researcher will have to decide which questions have probing, what are the directions of the probing, what is the intensity of the probing, and so on. And once the interview is set, we can test it and then launch it. Because of these follow-ups and the probing, it becomes a very personalized and hopefully more engaging experience than a traditional quant, because the probes will morph and evolve depending on the answer from the respondent. So different respondents will get exposed to different probes, despite the key question, the original question, that topic isn't changed across the full spectrum of respondents. Enough said, let me switch to a demo. So this is the software backend where the researcher would decide which questions to create. In this case, it's a very simple demo. We created only 5 open-ended questions. We do support closed-ended question, select, multi-select, rating questions. We can upload images and stimuli and so on, but we kept it simple for the demo. In each of them, we can decide if the follow-ups, the probes are actually turned on or off, and we can get a specific instruction about the follow-up, like in this case, which the software will execute very diligently. The instruction can be high level or very detailed, and given very detailed instruction. In this case, we kept it high level. We can also control screen outs, quotas, and all those technical details that are present in a quantitative type of scenario. Finally, we can decide the languages that we support in each interview. In these cases, we uploaded many languages, but usually we tend to have from 1 to 5 languages supported in any given project. That is the, let's say, what the researchers usually use Glaut for. Once the research project is, so this is about market entry valuation. It's about hair dye product for men. And basically the questions, I will just show you the 2 that I will run in the demo, is about, what are the reasons that you haven't tried at-home hair dye products yet? And which brands of or products do you know? And finally, what are the potential benefits of using at-home hair dye for men? Let's see how this goes. I will copy this, and now what I would do if it was in a real project is I would send it to the panel, and basically the panel would, or to the client list, and each of the respondent would be, clicking on this link. The respondents on their side can pick their language of choice. As said, it's usually not such a big list, but we use this demo a lot, so that's why we uploaded many languages. the researcher can actually decide as well if to use or not the Glaut voice, or to have the questions popping up directly, basically in plain text. I will try to show you both.
Hello. Thank you for joining this interview. Let's get started with the first question. What are the main reasons you haven't tried at-home hair dye products yet?
This question had a pre-screening question about did you try them or not, which I preset as no. I felt bad about hair dye, to be honest. I didn't want to use it. Now I've switched it off and basically removed the audio, and you can see how the question would come out in that sense. So could you clarify what you meant by felt bad? Are you referring to someone close or to something else? Evidently, there was a misunderstanding about dying, and these are things that can happen. So let me rephrase it. No, I just said I didn't feel good about using hair dye products. I think these products are bad for your health. I think they have some chemicals that are dangerous, and that's why I've never used them. But I'm not sure about it, to be honest. Okay, now Glaut finished the first question and it's moving to the second. So when you think about at-home hair dye, which brands or products are you familiar with? I don't know many brands. I would say probably L'Oreal is the only one that comes to mind. Uh, no. Oh yeah, Pantene something. Pantene Man. I guess that's the name. Um, Pantene, I think it's a French brand, but I'm not sure. So when Glaut does not recognize the name, we'll ask for clarification and then moved on. I don't know if that brand actually exists. And then we're moving to the third question. What do you believe are the potential advantages of using at-home hair dye? Probably the fact that you don't need to move, so the convenience of doing them at home, and it might be a bit more cost efficient than going to the hairdresser. And then it's probing. I will stop here because I think you have enough tangible example of how this works. So let me go back to now sorry for switching, to now the data that we are getting. So every response in real time is transcribed, and we can access both the transcription, and when it's text is basically just this text, and when it's voice, you can hear the audio files and even download it if you want to show to client. So first output is basically the transcription and the audio files of all the interviews. But let's see what happens when you have 300 interviews and you want to make sense of them. This is the analysis tab where basically you see the more quantitative part, for example, the age group of the respondents in this case. I want to show you one of the key analysis of this project. We're basically trying to convert in real time all the open-ended answers into themes and sub-themes. So this was one of the questions of, what are the reasons that I haven't tried home hair dye products? And basically what Glaut does, it will try to code every single answer in one or multiple topics and then subtopics. So if I just press on, for example, I don't need to cover gray hair, I will find on the right all the verbatim that were coded, at least with this code. This is probably 85 to 90% right, And depending on your assumption, it can be 100% right or it can be 75% right. We have never seen more than 25% of codes being modified in a real project. But the main point is that it's extremely easy to modify, edit, merge, delete, drag and drop codes from one to the other topic. Because at the end of the day, if you show a verbatim to 10 different researchers, they will have 10 different ways of coding them. But the good thing is that Glaut does the heavy lifting for you. It will code everything for you. And what you can just say, what you will be able to do in a few minutes is just to correct the codes that do not fit with your hypothesis, or go, for example, to the ones that have only one or two codes and maybe merge them with something else. I'll show you also the brand recognition, which is another analysis that we have done here. So in this case, all the answers were coded into existing commercial brands. That is another type of analysis. So it's not a thematic analysis, it's named entities, that's how we call it, and that allow us to code all the brands that are mentioned by a person in this interview. I will then show the last part, which is the reporting. So step number 1, we set up the interview. Step number 2, we launched the interview. We got in total in this one 388 started. We used it as a demo, so it's very normal to have a lot of them uncompleted. But yeah, 149 completed. And then we analyze them with a lens of thematic, named recognition, and another one that I didn't show you, which is the interpretative analysis, which is basically a way that we ask Glaut to interpret how, in this case, how likely is a person to try it in the future. And then there is the report function that looks into the analysis and basically writes a narrative answer of those numbers that we just saw, adding the most important verbatim that are supportive of that number or that KPI. So in this case, this is written in the first draft by the software. What the researcher does is to define some key goals. Goal number 1, market evaluation. You can give some specific instruction to Glaut. And what you do is you drag and drop the supporting analysis that you have done in step number 3. And basically that tells Glaut, use this set of data, this set of analysis to answer to the market valuation SWOT analysis. And what comes out of it is a text and some charts where you can basically Glaut will write a first narrative results and verbatim as a support. So in this case, for example, 62% cite financial and scheduling flexibility when mentioning what are the benefits, and 33% the confidence boost, and so on. You can basically click on the verbatim and you will actually be directed immediately to the supporting verbatim that was extracted to support this point, and you can hear the person talking in this case. Let me play it in the background. And then basically this happens over and over for all the goals of the analysis, and basically that is how we can get from the field being closed a couple of hours ago to a fully fledged first draft report in a matter of an hour and a half. It's an interactive process because the researcher will be able to add and manually changes wordings, verbatims, and so on and so forth to personalize this type of report. The alternative is to download all the coded data and download all the raw data into an SPSS file like you would have in a survey, and basically do the tables and the PowerPoint presentation by yourself, which is another option we support. We are not doing PowerPoint yet, but we are working on it. To finalize, step number 1, define the outline. Step number 2, launch the interview and get hundreds of responses in depending on how fast the panel provider or your customers are. Step number 3, analyze them, get them coded, get them interpreted, get them quantified. Step number 4, use these analyses to create a report. That's it on my side. I thank you for this moment, and yeah, I'm available for any question.
Great, thank you, Matt. That was yeah, that was very useful. Claire popped in a question to the chat, and actually I had a sort of question in the same space. So she was saying, does Glaut, when you were talking about the coding and the themes, does Glaut do that coding and the themes? Does the researcher do that, or is it a combination of both? And in my example, I was specifically thinking about those brands that came up. Are you able to give Glaut like a brand list that so it
Yeah,
would understand things like you were saying, Pantene, so it would understand
absolutely.
this?
Glaut supports both. If you have a code book, you can upload the code book and Glaut will use that code book. If you don't have a code book, being a brand code book or topics and subtopics, themes and codes, nets and subnets, however you call them, if you don't have a code book, then Glaut will create its own code book and propose it to you. That code book is what we have seen both for the brands and the topics, and that code book is what you can edit in very flexibly. But if you have one, you can upload it in the analysis before the analysis run, and basically Glaut will adapt that code book to your analysis and use it.
Great, okay. And then we've had another couple of comments in the
Yep.
chat. So Michael's got you talked about the interpretive score and estimates include an insight richness from respondent. How do you define richness?
Estimates the expected insight richness. Yeah. In this case, basically the prompt included some key examples. So what we do to define this type of subjective score is to put in a prompt some example of high, low, medium, or whatever scale we want, and basically give a couple of examples for each bucket, each value. And based on that, the software will try to put you know, the each verbatim in one of the other bucket.
Okay, yeah. And then also Michael was talking about the consistency checker, and the way you describe contradictions.
Yeah.
Is that related to screening, or is it the actual responses?
Great question, Michael. Thanks. Actually, we have, let me show you. We have a setup parameter when we set up the interview, which is this expel uncooperative respondents. If this is turned on, basically what Glaut will do with people that either do not give more detail, do not collaborate with follow-up questions or give gibberish answers, Glaut will do up to 2 follow-ups, trying to bring them back and ask them, hey, please, you know, we would like to know a bit more about what you said. And if the person does not collaborate, or if it's a bot, or if it's a person basically trying to speed across the interview, Glaut will exclude them and will basically not pay the incentive. So that is how we try to use the Glaut moderator also as a judge of the collaboration and the richness of the questions and of the answers that the respondents do.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that covers the question. There's been a couple of comments around pricing.
Yeah.
I had one additional question, right? So you talked about you could go to panels or you could go to customer sample. You don't provide any sample yourselves? You don't have an
No,
audience that
we
okay,
are agnostic.
right.
It's not our business. We build tech infrastructure. Panel is a totally different thing. So we are happy to work with each and every panel that you suggest as a researcher. We'll help you set it up if it's needed. We already have established relationship with the major panels, but generally speaking, yeah, we are agnostic. It can be a panel, it can be a customer list, it can be a QR code that you put somewhere on the street and wait that people fill it in. It's really up to you how to use Glaut. At the end, it's a link, like a survey link, as we said at some point in the presentation, that can be distributed in many shapes and forms.
So then leaning on to the sort of pricing, so excluding, I guess, the participant and incentive side, can you give some indication of
Yeah,
cost? I think
happy
Nanda's
to.
put an example of a sort of a mainstream FMCG type project with maybe up to 500 consumers, perhaps in one of the main European markets.
Yeah,
I don't know if I guess because we're providing the audience, you don't have to worry
absolutely.
about where those 500 people come from, right?
Exactly. In that case, obviously there are no respondents costs, so my answer is focused only on the platform cost and not on any recruiting or incentive cost that you might incur or not. Glaut has a per project mechanism. So if you use Glaut today, you cannot use it for 2 months and not have to spend anything on a license or a subscription or anything like that. It's per project. We have 2 ways of working with researchers. We call it self-service when the researcher gets onboarded and after that uses Glaut autonomously. And then we have a full service that is when researchers do not have the time to get onboarded and they basically literally send us the brief and we send them the results. So we program, we integrate with a panel, we do the analysis and the data cleaning, and then we ship the report and the full SPSS file. So depending on those two, I will assume that most of you are hands-on and will be doing a self-service type of project. In that sense, there are 2 levers of each project, a fixed project fee and a variable one, depending on the number of completed interviews that you do. In this case, for 500, you're probably looking between 2 and 2.5K for that type of project.
Right. Okay. That's fairly clear. So
sorry, that's in dollars, so probably in pounds. Yeah, remove
okay.
30%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
figured
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, we work. A lot of our members are
Yeah.
UK based, but we also have people in Italy like yourself and lots of others around the world. So yeah, so
Oh,
it's
sorry, Don. I said, yeah, for that amount of complete, so 500, the self-service project fee plus 500 completed interview would be approximately 2,000. So between 2,000 and $2,500, which I think is about 1.5 to 2,000 pounds.
okay. Brilliant. And
I'm
Lee,
saying between one and the other, not because I wouldn't like to be precise, but we have 3 pricing tiers depending on the region of the world that we are serving, and that's why I'm giving myself this little flexibility.
and could you maybe just touch on if you were to provide more of the service element of it? Maybe
Yep.
that's a little bit more difficult to quantify, but what sort would that add to the $2,500?
Um, it's it's a it's about 1.5K additionally to have a Glaut member to provide basically the full service fee. So you would end up between 3.5 and 4K.
Okay. Quite a detailed comment from Sean here, but I think the theme is have you done any kind of comparison work where you're comparing Glaut v humans?
Yeah.
There is more detail on the chat, but I mean that's the theme. But
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. We are doing it. We have done some. I'm happy, Sean, if you want to jot down my email, I will. Mike, will you send out around the email contact, or should I show it at the moment? I'll actually write it here.
if you pop it in the chat now,
Yep.
that'd be great.
I can send you some of the research we have done, and some of the use cases that our clients did. The research was done by us, committed to other research firms, not to, have a conflict. And the other are high-level success stories from our clients. It's still early to give a definite answer. I think we need to do many more projects. We are now in the hundreds of projects done on Glaut. Probably when we'll be in the tens of thousands done on Glaut, we'll have a more definite score. But one KPI that I love to share is that across different projects, about 2/3 of the topics or the themes, the codes, emerge in the follow-ups rather than in the first answer only. So the fact of having a dynamic way of asking people if they can elaborate more, if they have another example, if they have another brand in mind, and so on, it really expands the richness of the answer.
Great. And then I think we've got time, maybe 1 minute for Rob's question, which is around engagement. So
Yep.
have you got any feedback on whether people are finding it engaging, and what sort of level of depth can you go into before people are switching off? I noticed in your example you were using like a couple of prompts and then
Yeah.
you dropped into the question.
This is still a semi-structured interview, so we feel that between 2 and 3 follow-ups are the limit before actually the person switches to, okay, I mean, I want to move on, and therefore we do suggest to keep between 2 and 3 follow-ups. We had great engagement and great feedback from very young population, even without incentive. That was something that was unexpected, maybe because the WhatsApp messaging, the voice messaging is very similar to the way that Glaut behaves. No, behaves is the wrong word, to the way that Glaut works.
Okay. There are a couple more
Yep.
questions here, but we've hit the 1:30.
Yeah.
So maybe what we'll do is we'll drop those questions into to you, Matt,
Yeah,
and then perhaps
absolutely.
you can
Feel free
reply and we
to
can add it to the
absolutely.
response
Yeah,
afterwards.
I will. Again, this is my email. Please shoot me any questions. Happy to do a demo and respond to more questions. And one final thing, this is evidently closer to the quant space, but 2 ways that qualies have used us in the past. When they do receive what we call agile qual, so 15 to 30 minutes type of semi-structured interview on a larger scale, that's point number 1. And 2 is in the pre-recruitment, in the recruitment phase of a qualitative engagement. We had extremely good results in sending Glaut to 200 people and selecting 30 perfect candidates for a qualitative study. So I wanted to throw it out. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Looking
everyone
forward
for
to it.
joining.
Thank
And
you.
copies of the video will be available afterwards. Thank you.
All right. Take
Bye
care.
now.
Bye-bye.